Hello and welcome to the 6th video in my series of driving lesson videos where we're going to take a look at braking. Now braking is a big topic that takes a long time to explain and a long time to master. So I'm going to show you now the two main methods of braking, and I'm going to give you lots of examples and demonstrations of how and when you would use each method. There is one important point that I'd like to make before we begin this lesson, so please bear with me for a minute or two while I explain this. I'm not going to get too much off track, but it is very important that I explain this. If you haven't already looked on my website, please take a look and you'll see that I specialise in teaching pupils that have had really bad experiences at driving schools. Many of the pupils I teach have been to complete cowboy schools that have really ripped them off and taken them for a ride. And I'm not just talking about things such as the instructor didn't turn up, or he was 5 minutes late, or he was a bit rude. I'm talking serious problems. One of the main ways that you can tell a cowboy instructor, and I'll be doing a video soon by the way, called How to Tell a Cowboy Driving Instructor. One of the most easy ways you can use to tell if they're no good is that they won't do the braking properly. What they'll often say is simply clutch down brake. And that is all I will tell you. They will completely miss all of the things that I'm going to explain to you now. And this is one sign of a really bad instructor. So big warning, massive alert. If you're taking lessons and your instructor is just saying clutch down brake, that is terrible instruction. Anyway, I'm going to get back on the lesson now, but it's just an important point. It's a very easy way to tell if you've been taught correctly. Watch out that your instructor should be explaining this as I am now. Right then, so let's look at the two ways you can brake. First of all, let's have a look on pedal cam. So the brake is the middle pedal of the three. You'll notice that when you press the brake with your right foot, it feels quite spongy sometimes, and it only goes down halfway. Now the reason for this is when you brake, you should be able to stop quite quickly if needed. Imagine now that's my clutch pedal there, but imagine that was my brake. If I had to brake and it went all the way down, it would take me longer to stop than if I only had to brake halfway down. So if you get in the car and you find that the brake pedal goes a long way down to the floor, that's what you call a long brake pedal. It's not good, you don't want that. It means there's something wrong with your braking system. So when you press the brake, for the first little bit, now this is maybe quite hard to see here, but if I press it like that, all that does for the first tiny bit, if you listen, I don't think you'll hear this on the camera, but there's a slight click. Like that. For the first little bit of pressing it down, all that does is put the brake lights on. It's only if you press it further that the brakes actually start to work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the car on. So I'll check my handbrakes on, gears in neutral, let's turn on. I'll turn the wipers off now, stop raining. It's gone quite sunny now, it's raining on the way. Anyway, so when you press the brake pedal down, as we said, it will only go down halfway. Now there are two ways that you can brake. You can either go brake, then clutch, or you can go clutch, then brake. So what's the difference between the two? Now, first of all, yes, you could say there are three ways. You could go brake, clutch together, but for the moment, we're going to keep it as simple as we can, just talking about the two different methods. For the sake of this lesson, I'm going to call brake, clutch the same as going clutch, brake, just so it's easier to go over for now. So, do you remember from one of the previous lessons, you might remember that when the clutch is up, the two clutch plates are together, and I'll show you that diagram on the screen now that we've had in previous lessons. So when you're going down the road, if you come off the gas and the clutch is up, the engine is still connected to the wheels. So that means that when your engine slows down, it's helping your wheels to slow down. So if you brake with the clutch up, you get stronger and better braking. Now when I say better, it depends on the situation, because of course it can depend on many things, such as if you're going uphill, downhill, on a flat road. Even the weather can affect how you brake, and the speed of your car affects how you brake. But if you go brake and then clutch, you'll get more powerful braking, because the clutch being up helps the brake. It's what's called engine braking. Now engine braking can sound bad because you think, oh, am I braking the engine? It's not braking as in, you know, smashing it, braking as in slowing down. The word brake can be confusing. So engine braking is when you go brake, then clutch. If you go clutch, then brake, that is not as good a way of braking depending on the situation that you're in, because if you go clutch down, you've lost the assistance of the engine and it's purely the brakes on their own that are braking. Now this is what I mentioned before about if you get a bad instructor. It takes a long time to explain the difference with this. Some people's are lucky, some people's do this straight away and then just take to it and say, well, that was easy. But it normally takes hours and hours of practice to get used to braking. If you go clutch down brake, yes it works, but it puts a lot of strain on your brakes. It's simply an easier way of teaching, so unfortunately some people who aren't very good or are just lazy at teaching, they'll just say, oh, clutch down brake. That's not how it should be done. Depending on the situation, most of the time it should be brake and then clutch. So when exactly should the clutch go down, and how do you know when it should go down? Well, it's simply when the revs are low. So like now where the engine's quiet, that's when the clutch goes down. For the sake of this, I'm going to give the number 1.5 on the rev counter. Now, yes, it can be lower than that, but I'm just going to use that as an example because it's easy to remember 1.5. So what you do is when you're driving down the road, you brake until the revs are on about 1.5, then the clutch goes down. If you go clutch down with the revs high, the brakes themselves are fighting to get the car slowed down and you haven't got the assistance from the engine. Now in most modern vehicles it doesn't make a huge difference anymore because brakes are so good. If you go brake clutch or clutch brake, it doesn't make a big difference, but there is still a difference. Now if you look in front of us now, imagine if I was travelling on a motorway and I did brake, clutch, and I had to stop quite quickly, as we'll go over more in the emergency stop in future lessons. If I went brake, clutch, I might stop where I am now. If I went clutch, brake, I would maybe stop where the red car is or even further up around the bend. So it can make quite a big difference. So what you do, to put it quite simply because it can be confusing, the clutch goes down when the revs are low. So you've got to get the revs low, which could be by braking or just by coming off the gas, depending what's going on around you. When the revs are low, the clutch goes down. If you don't get the clutch down in time, you'll stall, because you can stall when you pull up in the same way that you can when you pull away. Now there are other things to go over, of course, such as when you pull over, what would you need to do? Well, you've got to check the mirrors. You can't just pull over any time you want. So the minimum checks you should do are the middle mirror, and then normally the left mirror if you pull up on the left, or the right mirror if you're going to pull up on the right. So you go middle mirror, left mirror. If you feel you need to check other mirrors, you can. For example, see this bend in front of us. When I'm going around a bend, I can see a lot more in my left mirror than my right mirror. So even if I was going to pull up on the right, I would also check the left mirror. It's whatever mirrors you think would apply, but the minimum is the middle, and then whichever way you're going to go, left or right mirror. Okay, so once you've done the mirrors, what do you do next? You decide whether or not you need to indicate. If no one's around, you don't need to indicate. So for example now, I would do middle mirror, left mirror. That car behind's now gone the other way, if you can see that. So I wouldn't indicate, I would just pull over, no signal required. If you feel safer to begin with, always indicate when you pull over. However, when you get more into driving lessons, I recommend only do it if you need to, because if you do it all the time, it's a bit like you're not really looking. It's like look in the mirrors, and I catch people's out with this all the time, as you'll know if you do lessons with me. I'll say, you know, why did you indicate? There's no one there. Anyway, so mirror, mirror, signal. You then steer towards the curb, steer away. Now, when you brake, this is a hard thing to explain. You brake as and when you need to. I always say think of it like a plane landing. If you're on a plane, the plane wouldn't nosedive towards the ground, bounce off the tarmac, then put the brakes on. You know, that'll be no good. So when you pull over, you've got to kind of glide towards the curb like a plane, land it softly, probably then you would brake, but it depends. With the examples I'm going to give you in a moment, I'll show you different ways, but you brake as and when you need to. And I know this is quite vague and people say, well, I want to know when to brake. Is it before I steer, after I steer? It depends on the situation. It may also be that you start braking, clutch down, you think, oh, actually I can't park there because maybe you've spotted a driveway that you didn't see. So you might have to come off the brake, roll past the driveway, brake again. Braking, like I say, is a very confusing and very hard topic to explain and to go over. But I'm going to get driving now and show you some examples of going uphill, going downhill, and I'm going to go round and round the loop. We'll be doing left turns in the next video, so don't worry about that for now, but I'll be doing several turns throughout the demonstration. Okay, so let's get moving. So we'll go clutch down 1. Again, we've done this in previous videos. It's an uphill start, so gas, then clutch, checking around. I won't indicate because no one around, off I go. We also looked at gears last time, so I'm going to accelerate in second and accelerate away into third. So I'm going to pull over on the left, but not just yet because this isn't the best place now the bus has pulled over. So I'll check my mirrors. I don't need to indicate around the bus, I'm braking just in case something comes the other way. And you see there I just did the brake with no clutch. So I'm going to turn left now, braking, slow the car down, come down in second. We'll be looking at coming down the gears next time, so don't worry about that for now, this is just the braking. I am keeping my foot over the clutch, but you don't always do that, you normally have your foot there to the left of the clutch. Sometimes I might hover over it because it's quite hard when you're doing these videos to be talking and thinking of everything. So I might sometimes be ready to pull over just in case the chance comes up. So I'm braking now for that woman, nothing behind me. Braking, no need to press the clutch down. The reason I didn't need the clutch down there was because I wasn't going to stop. You only normally press the clutch down if you're going to stop or change gear. So if I brake, for example, now, I don't need the clutch because I'm still going fast enough for fourth gear. But I am now going to pull over on the left. So I'll do middle mirror, left mirror. I will indicate now because I can't see around the bend that far and there's a bus coming, so it's good that I did. Brake, 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 clutch now. Did you hear then? You might not have heard that or seen that, but the engine started to flutter, got it to make sort of growling, fluttering sound. So in that instance there, I did brake, brake, brake. I could feel the car being held back by the clutch. Then I went clutch down. Let's do that again, but this time I'm going to do it the other way. So I'm checking. Off I go, signal for those people in case they're going to cross the road. So this time, the wrong way as you were. I'm going to do mirrors, I won't signal for that road. Clutch down, brake. It feels different. Now I know in the video you won't feel this because you can't feel things in a video, as I've said before. But it feels kind of wrong in a way. Not wrong, but bad. It kind of feels strange, like the car's kind of cruising down the hill. Let me give you another example now. And I know again in this video, it's a lot better if you actually go out and try this in a car, but it's just to give you an idea of what to do. I'm going to go now to another hill, which is just down the road, and I'm going to show you what happens if you get the wrong method. Now in a moment, I'm going to be going up a hill. Now think about this, if you're going up a hill, you don't need much braking power because a hill will be doing the braking for you. You may have to brake slightly to put your brake lights on to warn people that you're going to stop. But in this instance I probably won't because it's normally a fairly quiet road. It's going braking, 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 braking. When it struggles, clutch down, get the gear change done. And again that will come in on the next video. So I'm going to pull up on the left on this hill. It's not the best place to know, but I'm going to pull it further on, just before the side road. It's a very quiet area, there's no buses around, so just for now, this will be okay. Normally a bad place to pull over, but for now it's good. So I'll do mirrors, I'll indicate because I'm going to pull up in a dodgy place. Braking, because I'm braking with the clutch up on a hill, it starts to go bang, 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 stall. Almost stall, not quite, but almost did. Hit that big bang. That's because there, I've got the power of the brake, plus the engine braking, plus the power of the hill. It's like triple braking. I've got 3 lots of braking going on there, and it made the car jump because I had too much braking power. So I'm going to move off again now, signal for the van, and when I pull up on the left I'm going to do it the way I should have done it before. So I'll do my mirrors, I shall indicate for the bus. There is a bus stop there, I hope he's not going to pull up there. No, he's going the other way. So I'll clutch down, roll, then a brake. Now before we said that wasn't so good because you lose braking power, which is correct. However, you don't need a lot of braking power if you're going up a hill, because you can go clutch down, let the hill do all the work, save your brakes, and then brake. If you really need to brake, if you need to warn other people behind you that you're slowing down, you can always press the brake very slightly like that, as we mentioned earlier on, and that will put your brake lights on, but you won't actually be using the brake. So that's how you brake in a car, and I'll show you some more examples now. But you go brake, clutch down when the revs are low, or you can go clutch down, then brake. There isn't an enormous difference, but if you only know to go clutch down, brake, that's not good, because that won't always work in all situations, as I will show you in a moment. Okay, so off we go. So round this roundabout, for example here I don't need to brake at all, I can shut the mirror, no gas, slows me down. One important thing to know as well is that the car will not stall if you don't press the pedals. If I come off the pedals now, it will cruise. There's no one around, so this is okay. So it's cruising, cruising, cruising. A lot of people think that you have to have the gas down to go. Now, of course you don't want to drive like that for long because you're not going to get very far. You're not going to go very fast. Before I go down this road now and show you that again, we'll go around the corner, no pedals at all, don't have to have them down, the car cruises, cruises, cruises. Now be careful because some cars don't do that, but mine does. Most do, particularly diesels, because diesels pull a bit harder than petrols. But you cruise like that, cruise, cruise, cruise. It works the same in first gear. If I go to 1, I go 1, no pedals, it cruises. Doesn't work in 3rd, 4th or 5th unless you have cruise control, which I should be demonstrating in a later video. Cruise control is a system, I'm not going to get too much off topic, but it's all related. Cruise control is a system where you can press a button on your steering wheel and the car actually cruises at the same speed automatically, so you can take your feet off the pedals like that and he cruises and he keeps the same speed without you having to have your feet down. It's very handy for long journeys that. It's a great feature. The problem is that sometimes you can forget you've got it turned on, you come off the gas, the car's not slowing down, not slowing down, not slowing down. That's because you've got cruise control on. Be very careful of using cruise control, but yes, you are allowed to use it on tests because I've checked that with an examiner, and you are allowed to use cruise control on tests. That will come in later on, but just so you know, you don't have to have the pedals down all the time to be moving. Okay, I'm just going to reset pedal cam because unlike the other cameras, pedal cam can only record for about 25 minutes before it turns itself off. And I did a bit of filming before this video, so I'm just going to reset pedal cam and then I'll be back. Okay, so pedal cam is back on and we're now going to carry on with the lesson. So again, handbrake neutral, I'll turn back on. Now, let's have a look at where you would pull over. Where would you not want to pull over when you park or when you're just pulling over for a few seconds like now? Well, you don't want to be, that's a good example there, not too close to a parked car on the right. I am a little bit close to that car because the bus, you could get through, there's no problem, but you don't want to be too close to that car. You certainly don't want to be opposite that car. You don't want to be blocking the driveway. You don't want to pull up obviously anywhere near a crossing, a zebra crossing or a pelican crossing or anything like that. It's really common sense, but let's get moving again now and I'll show you some examples of where you would not want to pull over. Okay, so downhill start as we did in previous videos. I'll indicate because there are people around and the bus is going to go. So yeah, if I pulled up on the left here opposite that black car, the problem with that, do you know what the reason is for that? Because I know it blocks the road, but what you've got to think about is what kind of vehicle must be able to get through. Now alright, things like buses and that should be able to get through, but the thing you've always got to think about is fire engines. Fire engines must be able to get down the road. One of the examiners who works around Birmingham is an ex-fireman, and it's one of his pet hates is when people pull up on tests and they're blocking a fire engine's path. Think about it, right? If I pull up again now, I'll do mirror, signal for the people in case, braking, 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 clutch down now, starts to rumble, and I'll pull over there. If you park your car in such a way that a fire engine can't get through, now as I understand this from talking to people, the firemen are allowed to, or firewomen or whatever, fire people I suppose you call them, they are allowed to get out and move your car by shaking it and bouncing it around. How would you feel if you parked your car in a stupid place? Imagine if I parked on the right opposite that silver car. If I parked there and somebody dies in a fire because the engine can't get through, you're going to be in trouble then, because believe me, they will take your registration number and come after you. So do not park in stupid places, not by driveways, not closer than 10 metres to a junction. If I go down the road now, no signal this time because no one's around, I'm going to show you this one. Maybe that car's already pulled up in a bad place. If not, I'm going to pull up in a bad place myself. Yeah, so I not really want to park here. Not only am I blocking the driveway, but I'm too close to that junction. If anyone comes out from that junction now, they wouldn't be able to see what's coming down the road. I also wouldn't want to pull over here. This is too close. That's right by the junction. You've got to be at least 10 metres away down the road. If anyone comes out of that junction out behind me, they can't see as well because I'm in the way blocking the view. Okay, so let's get moving again. So I'm just going to wait for this car to go past. But yeah, that's pulling over. There's one final tip I shall give you. So that car behind me now is having trouble getting out of the junction because I've parked a bit too close. So I'm checking, going to roll forwards a little bit. This is when you pull over. If I pull over quickly here, you see how the curb now is sort of in the middle of the windscreen. if you look at that thing, I don't know if you can see on the camera there, I don't know if you can see the wipers, but on the wiper blade there is a thing called a knuckle. Now the knuckle is like a little ridge that sticks out. If you can see, it's kind of there halfway across the windscreen. That wiper should be just about touching the curb, so the knuckle on the wiper just touches the curb. So when I'm driving, if I move off again now, you see how the curb now is on the left of the windscreen. When you pull over, see how that blue car is there? If you get it so the curb is halfway across your windscreen, that's how it will look. So you'll have the curb roughly halfway over and you'll be quite close to the curb then. So that's how you do braking. We are going to come back to this again in future videos, because again, you know, I'll be talking about lots on the corners especially. For example, now I'll check my mirrors, I indicate, I brake, 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 clutch down. So you see how long the clutch is up. Now again, it's very bad if you do the clutch down too early, unless maybe if you're going up a hill. So if I pull over again on this hill, I do my mirrors, I won't indicate when I start cars, clutch down, braking. Not that different, not that bad, but in certain situations that can be really bad. And I'm not going to drive to a much steeper hill. In fact, what I can do is, to save me driving over there, I should simply go to the top of this road and turn around. So when I come down the hill the other way, as long as no one's behind me, I shall show you more about this thing about clutch brake or brake clutch. Now again, this is much easier to do in real life, because watching a video, you're not actually doing it now. I certainly hope you're not watching this video while you're driving, but it's much easier to get used to. So the engine's rumbling now, so I'll go brake clutch together, because the engine was rumbling, the revs were low, so I had to get my clutch down. Quite a strange little roundabout this, you might not have seen this before, but on some roundabouts you do give way to your left, as on this one. You come round, and I'm now having to look left, because you have to give way to your left. No one there. So as I go down the hill now, I'm going to say in a second, I do no gas, the car holds back. See the speedo on the left is holding about the same. If I go clutch down, watch what happens to that speedo. See, it's going up and up and up and up, because now the clutch is not holding the car back. If I go clutch up, it holds the car back, the engine revs, and the speedo starts coming down a little bit or stays the same. So that's how important it is that you get the correct method. If I go now clutch down, brake, 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 I'm braking really hard there, and the car's flying down the hill because I hadn't got the correct method. I was doing clutch brake instead of brake clutch. Okay, so that's the end of the lesson for today. I will go into that in more detail, like I say, in future videos, but that's how you brake in the car. So hope you enjoyed that, hope you found that helpful. As ever, please like the video on YouTube, please remember to comment. I don't always get time to read all the comments, but I try to. It's difficult because, again, the more videos I do, the more comments I'm getting. But I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon for the next video, where we are going to take a look at coming down the gears. So we're going to be using the braking that we just did, the same method there, but we're going to be using that to come down the gears. So I'll see you again soon for that video, and thanks for watching.